Okay.
Peeling eggs. Hell, we did a whole mail call one day on peeling eggs, none of which worked.
Okay. Mic is on. I assume people can hear me.
Sorry. They can hear everybody else too, I bet.
Okay. Sound is on. Okay. Let's back up a little bit here to some of these questions. You guys are jumping right on me today.
Okay. I'll just nap over here.
First question from Mood. Do military dogs retired from active duty easily adapt to civilian life living at home rather than in tent or barracks? Yes, they easily adapt. They go through a decommissioning process where they basically stop training them to do what they're doing, and it's a quality of life thing. They're fine. They have a good old time.
Did you hear that they're bringing all the dogs back now?
Yep, they just passed I don't know if that was an executive order or if that came through where, but now all dogs must retire in the United States.
I heard that Obama was the one that did it.
Yeah, could be very well be. Rather than letting them retire overseas and then just leaving them in that country, now they're required to ship them back, which is a good thing.
They should.
And it makes it a lot easier for the handlers or the staff that works with them to be able to adopt them out when they retire.
Well, that's why we've ended up with this one dog. He hasn't come around, has he?
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
No.
We were expecting one of those dogs here.
If the day I see a German Shepherd come through the gate, I'm pretty much going to assume that's who that is.
Right.
What is the hardest thing when training people on how to act around dogs? As I've said a lot of times, it is harder to train the people than it is the dogs. There's so many different ways to look at people that are not used to working with dogs. You're teaching them how to initially act with dogs. Then you have the service dog aspect of it. You have people that have had dogs all their lives that think they know a lot about dogs, and then they get a service dog and the rules are not the same. So there's variances to all that, but we spend just as much time, I shouldn't say that, we spend a lot of time working with the recipients to make sure they understand that what they do makes a difference. And we have a pretty good program here with the whole bonding thing and working with the applicants. When we see things go wrong when the applicant's working or the recipient's working with the dog, I would say 99% of the time it's the recipient that's doing it not the correct way, not the dog.
I could answer that one. To me, the hardest thing is to try and teach a person how to handle a dog who already knows everything.
Yes.
Especially a service dog. These are not dog dogs. These are sort of small people that you've got to talk to, and you've got to talk to when you're walking up and down the aisles of the supermarket, whether everybody thinks you're crazy or not, you know. You just keep talking to the dog.
Well, one of my best compliments with Charlie came from a service desk manager at a Hannaford store up in Maine, and told me how happy she was to see somebody talking to their dog as we were coming through. And I was basically telling me, you're doing fine, Charlie, let's go. You know, basically talking to him as we were going by all these registers, and of course everybody's looking, and you know, you have the occasional somebody whistling at the dog or whatever. And Charlie just kept right on going, and she saw me at the front door, and she goes, it just made my, you know, like tears in her eyes that somebody would actually talk to a dog like another person, you know.
Yes.
To us it's kind of normal, but.
Yes. Well, we have to make it normal to these people that are getting the dogs.
Right.
That's tough. That's tough sometimes.
It is a lot easier to teach somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience with dogs than it is somebody who thinks they know everything about dogs.
Yeah.
You can train somebody that doesn't know. It's hard to train somebody that thinks they know everything. It can get a little weary.
Well, it's like when I'm trying to hire another trainer, I really don't want one that's read every book in the book, you
right.
know? It doesn't work. Next.
Okay, snowball cameras about I love driving. I don't know what that means. Okay. Somebody asked something about Amelia and grooming. Do they have the same thing? They're both doing very well today. Very well today. We're kind of digging in to see what's going on. It's safe to say they had a tummy ache. But they're in no way in any danger or anything. They just got something going on with their stomach, that's all.
At least not at the moment.
Well, I can address one of these things that was one of the questions last night. I don't see it here today, but I don't see any other new questions either. So the whole jumping up, dogs jumping on people. You can't get any simpler than dogs don't jump on people. That's a no-go. That's not what we do. I've never even let my pet dog jump on me. I don't understand why people would want any dogs to jump on you, especially a dog that weighs more than me. Charlie weighs more than me. The last thing I want him to do is to jump on me. And it creates such bad habits. And it's the same thing with, nothing has irritated me more than to have somebody sneak up around me, and I'm talking about somebody who knows nothing about dogs, and put their hand out to have trying to get the dog to raise a paw to shake the paw of a service dog. That to me just blows my mind. Why somebody would actually do that. You don't do that. Dogs should not be putting their paws on people, and if you've ever been scratched by a dog with big feet and large toenails, you'll stop that very quickly. We, as a general rule, this is one of those rules on the property or off the property, do not allow dogs to jump up. And you'll see, even on the cameras down there, when we're doing this, telling them off, to establish the rules that dogs are not supposed to be jumping up on fences. They're definitely not supposed to be jumping up on people. It's just a very bad habit to get into. You don't want dogs jumping on you. That's something you got to squash immediately, and when they're young, if you want it to end quickly. It's one thing when a puppy is still learning at 2 months old and it jumps up on you. It's another thing when you got a 6, 8, 12-month-old dog that's still doing it. You haven't established those rules yet.
There's one more toenail thing story I can think of while you look up another question.
Sure.
Somebody from Argentina called me on how to train a service dog. And the one thing she wanted to be able to do with her dog, she's quite handicapped, I guess she's only got one leg, she wanted to be able to swim with the dog. And I wrote back, I said, no, because those damn toenails,
Yeah.
you can get badly hurt when they're trying to swim and
Right.
they come out with yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and,
no.
and in the water, their feet are going to be spread, their toes are going to be spread apart more because they're trying to get more, you know,
more push,
right, the web out of them. So now you're talking scissor hands.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to get up on your head too. Many people have been drowned by dogs swimming.
Right. Yeah, that's
it's not a good thing with a Great Dane, especially. They don't swim well, so they're not happy about it in the first place. It's not like a golden or a lab that just eat water, but these guys they're nervous in it.
Nora's asking, my Dane, who is 6 now, is getting scared of hearing the snowblower. She shakes like she does when hearing fireworks. I am not sure what I should do except reassuring her. That's another thing of that's an exposure thing to me. That's an environmental exposure. So what I would do, and I do it with all different things, it could be snow blowers, fireworks, anything, traffic, exposure, and reassuring them that it's okay. Don't let them continue to be afraid of a snowblower. I mean, you don't want them near a snowblower to begin with.
That's right.
Let's not go that direction, but common sense would say don't let your dog near a snowblower. But if a snowblower is going by and you're on one end, you got to deal with it. You got to just make sure that dog knows if that dog's with you, that's something that's going by. That's one thing. do what you got to do to make sure that dog understands that that's okay. It's no different from traffic. When we take dogs to Georgetown, some people must think we're nuts because I'm down there every single day walking dogs across the crosswalk. I'm sure some people take different routes home because they don't want to see me that much. But the only way they're going to get used to walking across the crosswalk with traffic going up and down with bumps and trucks and everything else is to do it. So that's what we do. We expose them to those conditions so they get used to it, they're comfortable, they trust the handler they're with, and they move on. It's kind of the same thing with the snowblower. You've got to let them know that that's okay. I would not let our dog within 10, 20 feet of a snowblower.
The thing that worries me with a snowblower is if they try and do with a snowblower what they might be doing with the vacuum cleaner, like run in and bite it, that could be very bad.
Yes, yes.
So you definitely do want them away. So the fact that the dog's afraid of a snowblower is not a bad thing. Me, I think that was fine.
Okay, we got time for one more question. My dog. Some of these I just don't have time tonight to answer them. Those are some in-depth questions. Hit me up again tomorrow early on these ones about stopping dogs from pulling and out of control dogs when you're out walking. Because I could go on for an hour about that.
I'll go on for 2 minutes. Give him a yank and tell him to walk next to you.
Yes. You got most of these things, these questions you're asking. I love that you're asking them, and I understand why you're asking. But you got to squash that stuff. There's no room for that. Of course, we're talking service dogs that absolutely cannot do that. But why would you even want your pet to do that? I can't understand how much fun that is to have a dog at the end of a 6-foot leash pulling you down the road.
I know.
To me, it just doesn't make sense. So ask me that tomorrow, and we'll try to answer that, because I am back tomorrow.
But if you start with a leash that's no longer than the height of your dog to your hand, then chances are the dog's going to end up in the right spot. It's when he's got these 6-foot leashes and you let him get one step ahead of you, it's a bad thing.
And we use the command of wait a lot with that.
They know that.
And they know what wait means. Wait meaning before you come out of a kennel, before you go through a door. If you're getting out too far ahead, they understand what wait is. Wait is wait. And once you establish that, you're going to have a lot more luck. And I'm starting to get the idea that a lot of people don't use commands or don't use verbal commands when they're around dogs, because I hear all these stories about all these different things, and I wonder if the commands are being used consistently.
If they think the leash is going to be the controlling thing,
yeah.
They should get the idea that their voice should be the controlling thing, not the leash. The leash is an emergency brake.
Right. It's so much easier to be able to talk to your dog and just get it done.
Right.
So much easier.
Right.
We don't use force for these dogs. I mean, we don't resist. Is that the word you used to use all the time? Resistance?
We don't use our muscles to control them.
Right.
Because if you do, they're not going to like it.
No, they're just going to push back.
Yeah. Like a horse, put his head up in the air, donkey.
Yes, and all right, I'm going to leave, but the last one here was Megan told us she wanted tough questions. I agree with you. I can't wait till Megan gets back. They're not tough questions, they're good questions. Some of them take a long time to answer, and you try these things that we're putting out there, and then if they don't work or you have a question, then ask me again. But try some of the stuff that we're putting out there, and I think you'll see a lot of it will work. Voice, consistency, commands, and talk to your dog. That's the first few things that I can tell you to put out.
Oh, Steve, you're going to be all excited. This chair was way up in the air. It's not rolling.
And the last thing is, weight is one of the best things I've learned from SDP. We use weight, I'll bet you, 1,000,000 times a day.
Yep.
For so many different things.
Yep. Because the dogs are always trying to get ahead of you.
Yeah.
They want to jump in the car quick before you get the door open, you know?
And that's always bad.
Right.
Same with going through a door at the store before you're ready.
2 of you at once doesn't
Yeah.
work.
And lining your dog up properly to go through a door is another thing. If you tell them to wait and they wait, you can make sure that you line up to go through that door properly so that either the person that's walking the dog or the dog doesn't get cut off by a door or anything else.
Tail.
Right. We don't like tail injuries around here.
I don't like tails.
Okay, thank you very much. I will see you folks tomorrow. Things have been very busy around here lately,
But we're getting there.
but as usual, we just keep moving.
Okay.
Okay, and it's really cold here in New England, so if you're in Nevada,
Stay there.
no, don't stay there. Come back. You're supposed to be back next week.